Drink. You're like water when I'm thirsty. Drink. Like water when I'm thirsty. Drink. You're like water when I'm thirsty. Drink.
Jesus already saved. Like that's done.
Oh, you have to
he died. You accepting him.
It's the beginning of a relationship. That's not being saved.
It is. The thief on the cross accepted him.
Accepting him at that moment.
But because that's
you repent from your sins.
Relationship was in that moment.
Well, no. If the Bible simply says, if you confess your sins, and if you're faithful and just, He is faithful and just to forgive you your sin and cleanse you from all unrighteousness. If you have no unrighteousness, that means you only have righteousness, which means that you are then at that point saved.
Justified.
So, boom.
Yeah, the justification.
The justification takes place
That's
in a moment.
it.
From there, I am saved.
At that point, you are saved.
The sanctification point is what you're talking about. That's the relationship. And that is not necessarily saving me. That's perfecting.
That's the perfection.
And preserving.
Yes.
Me
right.
too.
I'm preserving
me
until the manifestation of the salvation.
I like
but
that.
But that's the thing. But that's the thing. You say, if I accept Jesus, then I am saved.
Yes.
And then I'm going through a process of being saved.
No.
I'm going through a process of being preserved.
You go before the judge, and the judge said there's no evidence against you, you can go. But that doesn't mean you're not going to go out and do more crimes. But you're now free to go. What happens after that is that you go through this rehabilitation process to make sure you don't continue
the
foolishness.
So you're staying saved at that point.
Yes.
And you're saying and they're saying it's so much harder to stay out of foolishness than it is to stay
in foolishness
for many different reasons.
To stay free and not have to go in front of the judge again.
It's like when you leave.
I'm down with this whole free stuff too.
Think about it.
To undermine the grace that you've been given.
Most prisoners.
Think
about it. Think about a prisoner. When they've been found guilty, they get into prison. When you let them out, most of them are returned because it's easier for them to be in there. They're used to that life. Outside is harder. They want to go back in.
Just in general, anything you do, you revert to your nature. You revert to what you're used to before you like a dog or like some type of animal. If you get put back against the wall, you're going to revert to who you are.
If you don't want
who we are,
and I guess
naturally.
my thing is so what about if you're a birdie, right?
Like a birdie, like
for instance, you're not a
one
pig.
under par.
You're not a pig. You're not a pig who wallows in mud.
Right.
You're not a dog who eats his vomit and goes back, who vomits and goes back to his vomit. You're a bird who really just wants to fly and be free, right? So I'm just saying. It's not this absolute. We make it absolute like everyone is hard. Like she used a prisoner. That's someone who's committed a crime and they've gotten the taste.
You've committed the wages of sin. That's
everyone
has
sinned. Everyone has sinned. Yes, everyone has sinned.
Yeah.
And so the person who has sinned and who has felt the nature of sin and they thirst after Christ.
Birds sin too.
Everything is unto the nature. For some people who, or let's say this. Let's say, I can even say you're innocent. You're innocent because then you guys would jump on me.
Choose your words carefully.
Yeah, I'm trying to choose my words carefully.
You can't choose the words carefully because we're all sinners.
We are all sinners. And
we're not?
I said we are. We are all sinners. But there are people who want to be with Christ so much.
Yes.
So much. That is not as hard. They're the people who have gotten to the point of the relationship. That's what I'm saying. There's a relationship with God. That they do not want to go back into sinful nature. So they're moving forward with Christ on a constant basis.
Yes.
And when someone dies or when they lose their house because they didn't get a job because they did this for the Lord, they feel hurt, they feel pain, but they also count it a joy for suffering for Christ.
But this is I'm not
saying it's not hard to stay safe. I'm not saying it's not hard to be a Christian. It's not hard. But what I'm saying is for the person who who has developed a relationship with Christ, they not only do they expect this, because this is not new to us. Like, oh man, we're a Christian. Jesus told us, and you guys proved it. Okay. He told us, know what to expect. Count the cost before you even get into it.
But what are those people doing though? And I think that's what was said earlier.
They're continuing with the relationship with Peter, Christ. And what you guys are saying is, no, it's harder for everyone.
No, it is. It's
harder for everyone to stay with Christ.
We're not saying it's, but you're taking hard and equating it to like impossible. No one's saying it's impossible. We're saying it's hard. Okay. It's harder to do that because you have to do it every single day for soon.
Shonice, think about Peter. The longer that Peter stayed with Jesus, the closer they got. That was his right hand man, Peter. As soon as they came for Jesus, where did Peter revert back to? Pull out the man's sword and cut off my man's ear.
He reverted to a Jamaican.
But he was
he should have started talking fast.
The highest number in here.
What I'm saying, I say that to say no. But I say that to say he went back to his original nature
in defending the Lord. In defending the Lord, he was in it with the Lord. No. He was standing alone. No, he was like, no, we going down together. If we going down, he went fighting.
Yes, but then he was like, I don't know this dude.
The means that she's
I don't know this guy.
His means could have been to reprimand them
or take me too.
He took his sword out.
But at the same time, I hear what Shonice is saying. If I get you right, you're saying the person who has a relationship with God and is getting deeper and deeper and deeper to the point where their old nature is starving and is about to die. I mean, and you have basically gotten to this space of spiritual connection with God that you're so deep. I understand. I believe you can get to that point where it's harder for you to get back out of that.
It's like don't come to me with foolish.
There's some people who the devil ain't gonna even bother with because he realized he done lost them.
So he's just trying to kill him off. So he's just trying to kill him off. And what I'm saying is there are people who...
I think Peter, when he wrote this, was one of those people.
But
Jeremiah, the devil was like, I've lost them.
No, Jeremiah 14:23.
You wear a white tie, man. You wear a white tie, you get one little blemish on it, and the white tie is ruined.
With the Lord.
But it's not just a connection. Because it's not connection. We're talking about that person who is wrapped up, tied up in Jesus.
They have because I get in trouble because every so often, and I know it's not true, but I say the word because I know that it's in the Bible. I'm like, I'm the perfect wife. And my husband's like, oh, brother, you see what I have to deal with? I said, well, the Bible says to be perfect. So you saying like I can't achieve it, then that's against the word of the Lord, And when we look at the relativity of when you have a relationship with Christ, so much so that yes, it's hard, yes, it's difficult, but that's no longer your desire to do those things.
When?
Because you are No, it's not your desire because you have connected to the Lord so much that it's not harder.
But I don't think anybody's saying that.
That even though it's a daily... No. What I'm saying is sometimes, like you guys are saying, it's definitely harder to be...
Yes!
It's definitely harder to be saved than it is lost. And I'm saying it has to be a balance. It's somewhere in the middle, depending on what your relationship is with Christ, because the old church woman who knows and she's seen and she's done some, she can look back in her history and see that she did some messed up stuff. But at the point she is now with her relationship with Christ, it is harder for her to go back and do dirt than it is for her to say, you know what? Just take me now, Lord Jesus. I'm gonna go
these people.
Those are people who you see saying, they're singing songs. I'm not there yet. They're singing songs while you're burning them at the stake, and it's just like, Lord Jesus. People have gotten to that point because it's easier to say, I'm at the point where I might lie and be like, you know what? Yeah, okay. You're gonna burn me. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I misinterpreted the word of the Bible. But there are other people who are just like, burn me. But unless you show me in the Bible that this is right and that is wrong and what I'm saying is wrong, I'm not going to believe what you say. I'm not going to even lie to you and say I believe that foolishness, because that's not what the Lord told me in his word. And so for those people, it's hard to die for the Lord and even harder to live for the Lord. But in their hearts and minds, it's not as hard as it is to go do foolishness.
I think in those situations, though, Shawnee.
Okay.
Yeah,
and I'm saying it's not either or.
We dig it up a bit.
Was that no? It's perspective.
I was just gonna say that. I think it depends on how you look at it.
Mm-hmm. All right, Daniel.
Yes.
Is perspective with Daniel?
No, I said now Daniel transitioning.
Oh.
And Joe.
You didn't want to cover Daniel?
He had to do reasons to say, you know what, this is not worth it. That was good.
Daniel. I always like reading Daniel because
no, I'm not gonna curse God
because they were just smart guys. Like there were smart guys, and they didn't belong where they were. They were captives. They were chosen. I guess they were the prettiest captives. And I guess they were smart. They considered them to be, pretty smart. But they also, all of their learning wasn't just. Don't get in trouble. It just wasn't God-given. Like they learning. Like God gave them the ability to learn. Like it's not like they just showed up and they knew it. Like it states in Daniel 1, it talks about how they study. Like they worked.
And God blessed them.
And God blessed them in there. So, you don't have to be like the smartest guy. You don't have to be the smartest female, whatever. But if you put all your faith and your trust in God, He took them from being captives to being he was third in the land. So, and then not only that, he was able to bring his boys. Like he
gave them jobs.
Gave them jobs and all that kind of stuff. And then they get into a situation and they already got promoted, and then they get into another situation and they got promoted again because they stood up for their faith. So Daniel's a very for me, from not only a spiritual perspective, but from an occupational perspective, is a very inspiring chapter until you get to like the prophecies. And then
what I liked about Daniel was it expands the definition of who are God's people, because Nebuchadnezzar was God's.
Is he gonna make it?
He's God's chosen instrument, and before he died, he was a servant of God, even though he wasn't a Jew. And it shows God's desire to reach everybody and how He's involved in the lives of everybody, even though they may not be. It takes the boundaries off of. They keep saying there was a phrase that was because I was listening to it this week, and it was a phrase that kept coming up. I give kingdoms to whoever I choose, whoever I feel like, whoever I want to give it to. Right now, I want to give it to you, Nebuchadnezzar, because I choose to give it to you. And whatever you feel to do with it, then you do with my blessing.
And it's true. And he did, because then Darius got it. He was like, but she only gave him one shot, which is kind of shady.
But to see how God was working to try.
It wasn't.
Have people acknowledge Him as being God, to me was powerful, and it puts some of the rest of what's happening in context. When you see that the children of Israel, their issue was always with other gods, and then when He made Nebuchadnezzar, an animal mad for 7 years after He warned him it was coming, and he still did it. And He made him an animal for 7 years until He acknowledged that,
But even before then, like God gave him the dream. It was like, this is what it is. This is the way it broke it down. You got gold, you got silver, you got da-da-da-da. Then a next chapter, Nebuchadnezzar was like, all right, so this is going to be all gold. I heard the dream. Thank you. Now, Daniel, you're going to be great. Like, you're there, but we're going to make this all gold. Like, you just reverted right back to...
Until the end, when he gives his testimony, he's like, God is supreme. I'm his servant.
So did he make it?
No different from Solomon.
Did Nebi make it?
Sounds
Solomon
like
did the
it.
same thing.
I don't know why he didn't pass on that to his son. His son was out of it.
Well, by then he became. He was just like all the other
They were
Israelites,
crazy.
and their sons didn't
Yeah,
listen.
they were outrageous.
One of these kings is even be in the same room or spend time with his sons.
According to Paul,
David's
they
sons
had
were
no
messed up
business
too.
being rulers because they can't rule
You
their
know?
household.
David was,
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Just put it out there. That's what P said. That's what he said.
I was trying to figure out with Darius, like he had his wives and his concubines in the same party.
That's Belshazzar.
Belshazzar.
Belshazzar, the son. Yeah, who was drinking out of the thing?
No, that was
Nebuchadnezzar's son.
Nebuchadnezzar, yeah.
Yeah, he had his wives and the concubines drinking together.
All in the same party.
what is he jealous? What I don't know.
I just thought, that's a crazy thought.
What's the point? What's the point?
Did
That was
Solomon having
typical
a wife
culture.
like every
It
day of the
alluded to the
year?
fact that Solomon not only had the wives and the concubines, but he had
The Queen of Sheba.
no he had some
Oh,
dudes.
Yeah.
Who said
no,
that?
he didn't.
You
watched the movie. That's
Maximized.
not true. Not David's son.
Just
No, you have to show us in the Bible. You can't say that. You have to show in the Bible. You have to show in the Bible.
Why did you see that?
I have to go
You
back.
have to show in the
You
Bible.
can't come in here calling controversy
yeah,
and then leave. You don't even be here.
Research on we did.
Oh, you're coming back next week. You and
Yeah.
We have it too.
you and OB gonna be sitting right there.
Al, you're not getting your check. You're
I
not
was waiting for it.
getting your check.
Solomon maximized whatever we can think of. He did it.
Who said that?
I'm telling you, we did a Bible study, and we have supporting evidence for it. I just need to go and dig it up out of some box or something.
Y'all all got to dig it up.
I
Like,
think so
nigga.
too. I was like,
Maximize.
So Solomon's bisexual. That's what you're saying.
And
He
what
was,
I was
trying
like-
to live in.
He said,
Was
read
it-
Song of
was it-
Solomon. There
was
was
it-
nothing
was it-
bisexual
Wasn't
in
it
Song of
who
Solomon.
wrote, there's nothing new under the sun?
exactly.
That was Solomon.
He's saying nothing new under the sun. He didn't say he
He
did.
did everything that was under the sun.
I think he did everything.
No.
He said,
I'm almost sure he did.
he said he did
Solomon was
everything.
too cool.
First of all, unless it's in Ecclesiastes, he did not.
Okay,
He was not. He did not.
My question about
Just
Daniel
show
is,
us.
what about
Show
his,
us. Show us.
Obviously, it is. Y'all put it on
No,
camera.
y'all need to show it. Y'all need to show it. Y'all need to
This is
show
on
it.
tape.
Yeah, y'all need to show it.
I didn't
So
write
he's
that
like, no,
one
we're not
down.
letting this one go.
I don't know.
Yeah,
This
show
week I was
it.
going
Show
to
it.
take
Look
it
it
back
up.
when I read
Open
that
your
too.
sword and look it up.
Where did you read it? It wasn't in the Bible.
No, open your sword and look it up because they said about Jesus too.
Al,
They be like,
Which means that wasn't he mentioned in Hebrews 11?
Solomon?
I don't know.
Was he mentioned in Hebrews 11?
I'll look up the
Because if he was mentioned in Hebrews 11, then that needs to change the entire stance of the church on gay marriage.
And I
I'm
was-
going to Hebrews.
I won't go that far.
Which
Just
is why
because he said it didn't make it right.
consequence.
Because he also had his wife set up statues and whatnot, and he get punished for that.
He did.
That was the one.
He didn't get punished?
Who
He
was
did.
the
Oh,
king?
yeah.
Who was the king who went all over and was tearing on all that stuff?
Josiah
I think
was
that's
one
where.
of them. Hezekiah was one, and Josiah was another.
So you're saying it's in the Bible where it said that Solomon was gay?
No,
He was
It
bisexual.
didn't say
No,
he
it
was
just
gay. It
says
said he tried
he
everything.
experienced it. That's what he's saying.
Hold on.
I know,
This is where the knowledge of good and evil comes in. So you
Look it up, look it
tried
up.
all of it and you go Sodom and Gomorrah.
Oh, man, you ring it all.
He said check all
think
of it.
because it went and it started
It
talking
says
about all that.
everything.
That all these
Why
things.
couldn't it be like?
If
Carl
If
God-
you're
Sagan,
watching the
like
Afterglow
everything?
and you've seen this, please tweet, email, Facebook,
Instagram,
call in,
something. Bird mail.
do
It's
something.
not that big. It's not that big an
No,
issue.
this-
No, it is that big of an issue now.
You can't
Why-
say
why
something
is
like
it
that. You can't
the
say
blood of
something like that
Jesus
without
covers?
showing.
Yeah, the blood of Jesus
Solomon
covers.
is not in Hebrew 11.
No, he's not.
It's Samson.
Okay,
I
Samson.
apologize for bringing that up.
No. We're going to need you
No,
to
but
look it up.
Didn't said he studied it too.
First of all, it does have. I'm not saying
You
it has to.
said you
There's no
maximize
Adventist
everything.
law on gay marriage. I'm asking Jewel. She just texted me. There's no Adventist law on gay marriage. I'm saying our stance. We're so rigid when it comes to homosexuality. If that's the case, and Solomon is in heaven, then even God can forgive.
Wow, there's a
Being
big
gay.
research to King Solomon.
And the truth is,
bisexual.
if
It
you
is?
have
Are you
relationships,
Googling
he can,
him?
Yes, he's
You
gonna
can't
forget
Google.
that.
Why can't
But
Because
But
people
we're
put all
saying-
the stuff in Google. I'm saying the Bible.
But if it
No,
shows you to
I'm-
a verse,
I'm taking
I was
it
taking a
Bible.
verse.
It's not going to Wikipedia. It's okay.
Because I'm going to go in there and change it today. All right, you're taking to a verse that says Solomon had sexual relations with a man or multiple men.
If it did, does it say that this was right, or does it say that
no,
this is something
of
that
course
had to
it's
be
not.
excused? Because I
That's why
believe
I
that
said I
there
don't
are
think it's a big
people
deal.
who have engaged in homosexual activity, and that they are going to heaven.
Of course.
And that's what I'm saying. So this
That's
is
why
not,
I didn't say he was in heaven. No, I'm talking to Jewel.
I was like, then what are you talking about?
No, he's not in heaven.
Joel, you're not on the couch.
I'm on the couch.
She just rectified what he said.
Yeah. No, he's not in heaven. The dead know nothing. He's in the ground.
Exactly.
Not much of them left.
They said everybody. They said everybody. They said Jesus too.
Even what's his name?
They said everyone is.
Saul.
Hmm?
Not King Saul, but Saul.
Paul.
It's
Paul.
everyone
Was
was
what?
gay. Everyone experienced homosexuality.
gosh.
I mean, it's
They
not
said
even there to
everyone.
me. I
They
don't
said
really
the,
care.
the disciples and Jesus and that's
Paul.
what they. Everyone. Not everyone, but
I
there's
just
a lot.
I did hear about that.
It's
My man-
but
That was his
no
thorn.
Yeah, they say he had a thorn in his side.
No,
He
but-
might
He had a
have
porn in his side?
A
a
porn?
thorn.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
What is
Come
wrong?
I
on.
don't care.
I said
We're about to shut this down because it's too late.
Yeah, let's
And no
sit
one's
back
hearing
at
it.
Daniel, man.
Talking about biblical characters.
Let's sit back, Daniel.
Daniel, my question with
I'm
Daniel was,
done.
I wondered about Daniel's other boys, the ones who ate the king's food.
What about him?
How did they feel? What did they think about what went down?
they were captives.
There's nothing.
I didn't.
They were just. They were.
People are promoting.
I mean, because
people
the way
were
the
not.
verse makes it seem like it was only him and his three boys that were the only ones who didn't eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I took from it.
The others, all these other Jewish dudes were chomping
They
down
were like,
on the
yeah, we're captives.
ham and the.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we already.
Yeah, that stuff tastes
How many
good.
how many good church folks you know?
No, but I'm just wondering
No,
because of where they ended up and the things that God did through them. I mean,
Do they regret it? You can't
yeah. Or did they say?
Do you think
just
that?
for a meal?
So let me ask you a question.
I jeopardize
So-
the ability to be.
So let me
used
ask you
like
a question. Let me ask you a question. So do you think because they only ate vegetables and water that they got to where they were?
Only
No,
I don't think only.
it says in the
So
Bible
could they have
that
gotten to
because
where they
God
were
blessed
if
them.
they didn't
But it
eat
was a
vegetables
stepping
and water?
stone. It was a stepping
It
It was
They
it
ate
was
from
a
the
it was a
king's
faith
table?
move.
If they ate from the king's
It
table?
was
I
a
don't think
faith
they could've.
move. It was
I
a
don't think
faith
they could've.
move,
Right.
and it showed that
It
they
was a
had
stepping
faith. They
stone.
were
It
that
was
they
a symbol.
that they were holding on to the faith of God.
Choice.
Yeah, they.
It showed.
And one thing I saw.
But it wasn't about the food.
This isn't in the Bible, but I saw it.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't about the food per se. It was about them saying, you know what?
put my
No matter
trust in
where we
God.
are,
Yes.
we are going to put our trust in God and what He said for us to do for us.
Yes.
We are going to keep doing what God told us
Yes.
to do.
It was about maintaining
And
their
so-
identity as
Yes.
God's people.
Yes.
So it had nothing to do with the water and the
The king
vegetables.
was trying to change their
It had nothing to
identity.
do with being
The king changed their
vegetarian.
name, and then he tried to change
No,
It
their
had
diet.
everything to do
It had
They
to
with
do-
resisted that.
them being who they are.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Because you eat chicken or oxtail don't mean you're not going to go to heaven.
No.
Well, no. But the
No,
question,
no.
but the thing is, the question is based upon the whole thing is, if you eat chicken and oxtail, are you going to be the best?
Ooh.
Which is why it comes back to, which is why I asked the question about vegetarian, if it has to do with the food and not so much faith.
And it had to do everything with faith.
Only faith. I mean,
Because when you put it in your body, again, your body's a vessel. So if you eat stuff, curry goat and whatever.
Why you had to be on the
Because
curry
I like the curry goat, man. I'm just
okay.
saying.
There's nothing wrong with it.
But
It's
but
vegetarian.
But
Because it eats grass,
we're
right?
not talking. No, we're not talking about like go. He's talking about like when you brought this big pig with the apple in his mouth that was roasted, and God said, don't eat that. So I'm not going to eat it because it defiles me. So let us eat this, please.
But it was
Because
yes, he told them.
It was like the pastries and all that.
But that
No,
goes
no,
to your question.
No. It's not just pastries.
No,
and
he
good.
told
It's-
them. Like they
It
were
was things
But
that were
was-
unclean
Yeah,
also.
don't eat
Things that they said,
Right.
you know what?
Those were
God
included.
told us not to eat this.
Not
and so
us.
we want you to give us this, please. These things, please.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was their faith and the fact that they stood up and said this when they could have just been like, you know what? These people, we're already on a short leash.
Mm-hmm.
And
Let's not step out and do anything to rock this boat.
I'm sure there were others. Wouldn't be surprised if there were others. This story gets told mostly because of the prophecies.
Right.
So then you're saying there could have been others who didn't eat.
Yes.
Or if
Or
they,
not.
even if they did, and they saw the difference, how their lives changed,
read it.
but it might not have been
We don't know.
something
They only recorded
that
the
was
one-
so deep in the prophecy.
You know when you're watching a movie, they only follow certain characters
Right.
because the story is only related to them.
There's no
yeah,
one else
like
in, the
in
world
those movies where somebody crashes into the car and the car goes flipping away, and we just keep going. We don't know how their lives are, but it's pretty interesting how they came out of that accident.
They're not important.
Yeah, and I think that's part of what's happening in Daniel as well. When the one story gets told.
You know.
I mean, I'm still amazed by, as they call it, the 3 Hebrew boys in the fire thing. Just the sheer idea that they turned this thing up to the highest
And the
temperature.
soldiers died.
And so it was so hot that they weren't even in it, they burnt. But these 3 guys were just chilling. I'm like,
Didn't smell
Man.
like smoke either.
yeah, just imagine.
So it doesn't say that there was
That
definitely
there were
them.
only one.
Yeah, because just the wording.
It says that, and at the end of the 10 days, their countenance appeared better and fatter in flesh than all the young men who ate the portion
who
of
ate
the kingdom.
the portion.
So there might have been some who didn't.
Yeah,
Some who
They
didn't.
specifically
Yes.
said all the ones who ate
Yes.
the king's delicacies. So it was almost a comparison between Daniel and his boys and those who ate the king's.
No, but you have to go. You have to tell me who Daniel and his boys were, because it says all the other. Then it means that
No, but it
between,
specifically said
between
all
who's
the
here,
other that ate.
No,
Not
all the
just
others
the
that
other.
ate.
But keep in
So
mind,
there could be others that weren't Daniel and his boys. It's like there could have been others who weren't Daniel and his boys who ate.
Think about it in the way of
Who-
the
who
12
did not eat.
disciples, but there were more apostles. Like Jesus had, people always say, okay, he had more than 12 following him, but it's
This
only 12 that's mentioned.
is the question that I wanted to ask.
Does that make
I
sense?
forgot. Thank you for bringing that up.
Does that make sense?
So, given the fact that
Not everyone ate of the
I was
king's
going to change
food.
the topic.
So there's Daniel and the 3 dudes, right?
And so,
And they ate. I mean, say they did not eat of the
Okay.
king's food.
Okay.
Now there's a group of everyone, which includes them.
Okay.
The statement was that they looked healthier than everyone who ate of the king's food. So
not everyone in general.
So no. So everyone who ate of the king's food. So there could be a portion of people outside of Daniel and the 3 Hebrew boys that didn't eat. But they're not included in the everyone that ate because they're excluded because they didn't
people
eat.
look better than Daniel and his boys.
They didn't.
No, they didn't reference them.
That's
They
what I'm
just
saying, if it's
only
no
reference. They only reference.
No,
those
they
that-
didn't
If there's no
ref-
reference, then why are we having...
But they referenced them by not referencing them. They excluded them from the people who ate.
It's like subsets. You have the big pool, and then you have the little section inside.
It's
and
like
the
he
little
could have
section
said the text could have said they looked better than everyone else, which would have meant that there were 4 of them only.
Yes.
Everyone else ate, but it said they looked better than everyone else
Who
ate, as in to say it's possible that
That
there
there are
are
more
more
than
that
4?
didn't eat, because to say all who ate, there's giving.
So in this
means
room,
for a
if there are people here that might have never flown, right?
And
So-
I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying that it's not that clear. That's
There
a
was
possibility.
another group. I understand.
Oh, it could no,
You
it
know what I
could
mean?
be. It could be that there was no one else.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that we're
But they
there's
also-
a possibility
Yeah.
of it. I guess
Yeah,
it's not
there is
that
a
deep to
possibility.
me.
There is a
I guess
possibility.
not
I
that
don't
deep
think
to
it
me.
is.
But then, if,
Well,
So-
for me.
you don't think
Yeah.
that there was another group?
No, meaning I don't think it
Not that it
was
matters.
that.
I think the
it
Bible-
wouldn't matter, right? Because
It wasn't
the
that
story
deep.
was following Daniel.
Yeah,
right,
it follows-
and the purpose
follows
of
the
the
movie.
movie.
But when it came
You
to
got your
buying
background
up,
people, right? And your people on the street walking up and down while you have your main actors in the screen. You're like, I wonder if.
But Jesus doesn't look at us that way. Jesus doesn't look at us main actors.
No, I'm just saying.
No, but
In the
does.
story, it was Daniel and his boys.
Story is following Daniel
we're
and his
trying to-
friends.
Yes, but
Daniel.
that story was.
And we only follow Meshach and
That's
Abednego
not
because
true.
they were connected to Daniel.
Right.
Yes.
Then they did their own thing.
and then they ended up, they were the only ones who didn't bow down to the idol, so maybe
Right.
they were the only ones who didn't do the stuff. Because the same dudes who ate the food were the ones who bowed down with the group to the idol.
Never know. You never know. Some
Which I guess is another establishment of God's power.
Elijah thought he was the only one.
Right.
So there were
Daniel,
still 7,000 others. So it's very possible in this context that the same is true. It wasn't just Daniel and his 4 friends.
Right.
It's possible.
The lens is only on the 4.
Right.
Okay.
Because of the work that they were going to do. Because look, after they did that, then Daniel had his own thing with the lions. Then the 3
But
guys.
we lost it. We didn't hear about the 3 again.
Exactly.
Because
they were like, we ain't going
right.
to live then.
And we got to go do our own.
Drawing the line right here.
Preaching
We're
and
drawing
teaching.
the line here.
We don't know if they
can
died.
do it
we don't know if
fire.
they get married. We didn't know
We can't do it.
Right.
apostasy. We don't know what happened to them. But here's my question.
Right, Shanice? You agree with that, right?
Here's my question about Jesus and his followers. Right? Because you said something there about Jesus having other followers. Is the command to make disciples for everybody or just for a certain few? Because Susanna and Mary Magdalene and all of them were disciples too. But were they a part of the group that was receiving his instructions to go and make disciples? Or is there some people who do that and other people who just, live? Because you don't see or hear about anybody except a select few people who are doing these tasks. And you hear about the 12 being
You
commissioned
can't
to
make
do
the
that.
argument that
Okay, so
we have supporting actors and all of the story follows them and then come back with this question.
I'm just saying we answered that before you even asked this one in the old one.
No.
Because you said yourself maybe the lens was just on this because this book can be only but so big.
Yes.
The scrolls can be but so big.
That's why they
It's telling you
stuff out and put stuff in.
follow the commandments, and then because God is choosing who the examples are. Like one thing I disagreed with Kerrick said, he says we can't always be main actors. I think that all of our lives we are main actors at some part in this life story.
Come back to the season discussion.
You understand? And so I do believe that we all have, and when he comes to us and he sees our leaves, we should have fruit in that in that play.
So then,
but
what's
he's
the
only
designation of the 12 then?
Well, wasn't Jesus alive? Wasn't Jesus alive?
I mean, here's what I'm asking.
Wasn't he alive?
Why
specify?
And call their name?
Why?
Did Jesus call their name?
Because there were 12 gates.
Oh.
No, but here's what. Follow my question.
I understand the question.
Right.
If all of them were disciples, all
Yes.
72 or 500 or 120, all of them, were disciples and they were all commissioned, what is the role of the 12? And how is that demarcated from the others? And is it demarcated?
So from what, and I don't want, and so this is the part where I talk about the establishment. Okay? So I don't want to say this because I can't back it up in the Bible because I haven't really studied it yet on this. But what I've heard is that, and what you can, I can extrapolate from reading, is that the disciples, when they were going out, because Jesus was no longer there, they were able to give, and you hear Peter talking about it. He stresses several times when in his writings that he was able to give eyewitness account of what Jesus did.
So did Mary. And
so that was
Susanna.
that's what I'm saying. So those were, but they were their purpose. Now they were women in this day. So that kind of
Okay.
we
What
talked
about the other 100? The
What
other
Nicodemus,
100 and 108. 108.
108 what?
It's kind of like
In
saying
the upper room, there are 120 people, right? It wasn't just the 12 of them.
no, it wasn't just. But it's kind of like
Right.
saying even like the
Yeah, but they weren't all those people didn't necessarily follow him day in and day out like the 12 disciples did.
How you know that?
Huh?
How you know that?
Because he didn't mention them.
That doesn't mean anything.
But he had at least at one point he had at least 72. That he
But they
sent
might
out.
not have been the same 72.
So wait, so I think Jared, and correct
So
me
you're
if I'm wrong.
saying
Correct me if I'm wrong. Just how in the Old Testament there are roles given to priest versus the sons of Levi versus whatever. What was specific for these 12? Why do we keep mentioning these 12? Was their mandate?
First of all,
wait, hold on. Was their mandate different from the
every-
other
No,
60
I don't
of
think
the
it was.
72?
I don't think it was.
But I think they had a little bit more, because the reason why those 12 were with him a lot for many reasons. All right, and you can just make just common sense. Like, they didn't drive around on a cruise ship. Like, in that boat, it wasn't that big where there was 108 people on the boat. All right, they weren't in a garden with 108 people. They weren't like.
But there were times that Jesus only took James, John, and Peter.
Yes, but what I'm saying is, and you see how their role as you go through, like.
But that's what we're saying. Their roles as you go through the story is very different from the other 9.
Yes.
Which would lead you to believe that the role of the 12 would be very different from the other 60, which makes the 72.
Mm-hmm. So that was what happened once they die.
So I'm going back to our church today. Is it necessary for everybody? Does everybody have the same mandate
to make disciples? Okay, let me read Matthew 28:19. Mm-hmm. This is after Jesus was up there with the 12 disciples.
Yeah, no, I didn't even get there.
Sorry, the 11 disciples. This was after Judas.
Hold on, don't read that. Matthew 28.
Matthew 28:19. We know this text, but here, to me, it answers the question soundly here.
You think so?
Yes.
Who's he talking to?
Yeah, but who's he talking to?
He's talking to the 11.
Mm-hmm. Only the 11. He wasn't talking to Susanna and Mary Magdalene.
So then the 11 disciples, read them back from 16. Read them back from 16.
Yes.
Then the 11 disciples went away into Galilee to the mountain which Jesus had appointed to them. And when they saw him, talking about Jesus, they worshipped him, but some doubted. Then Jesus came and spoke to them. He's still talking to the 11. Mm-hmm. Spoken to the 11. All authority has been given to me in heaven and in earth. He's saying to them now, commanding them, go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all things which I commanded you, including what I just commanded you to do. Mm-hmm. So Jesus didn't tell them, take out any specific command that I gave you and don't tell them that, or don't give them that instruction. Agreed. So all the commands that Jesus had been training and teaching them, God said, take all these commandments, every single thing that I taught you, and command them the same way.
Okay.
So in my understanding, there is no difference between the disciples, the 12 rules, and our rules. There's no difference. The difference is they were in direct connection with him and his presence.
He didn't give these instructions to the others.
To what others?
The 108. Unless the 108 were their disciples.
Right, and if the 108 were their disciples, then they got the same instruction, the same command.
I guess I'm asking because, you see...
From them. From the 11.
Is there significance in the 12 you're trying to say?
I'm trying to
It's like if you're good at something, you have an apprentice. You teach your apprentice to do this trade with the same precision, same perfection.
Correct.
So then when your apprentice now goes and makes another apprentice, they teach them the same things that they were taught by you.
Okay.
So it's a duplication.
I get that.
It's weird. This verse is kind of weird. Maybe we should finish this thing up.
Finish what thing? This? So that we can talk?
No. So y'all could... No. I mean, I'll finish this thought so we can get this.
Yeah. It was only because I was reading about these other people who were with Jesus, who were following with him, who were there sitting in and among them. I mean, the Bible talks about these other people who weren't in the 12, but were moving along with them for most of the time. But you don't get the sense that they were commissioned to really do anything. And and you see even with when Paul sets up these churches and whatnot, he's moving around making disciples, and they just kind of...
Yeah, I mean, I think there are people that are natural, that God pinpoints that are leaders, that have more of a leader mentality. And which is weird about this verse, what I was saying was that, because he was like, when they saw him, they worshipped him, but some doubted. And that's got to be some within, we know Thomas, but there's some within the 11 that didn't. So there's some people that were, that God saw that were natural leaders. I think that's why he paid attention to Peter. Like, he paid attention to certain ones, and he really poured into them, because those were the people that were going to be strong enough.
They're going to be the apostles.
To carry out and deal with all this stuff. There's some of them that weren't going to be as strong. That's just how it is.
I'm I have questions about whether everybody's role is to be a disciple or make a disciple.
Am I making this up? I could be. It could be an Ellen G. White thing that's been engraved in my.
Don't do that.
But it talks about the crowns that we have and how each person has at least one star on their crown. Anybody ever heard this?
Yeah.
And how the crowns are the people that you help, the stars are the people that you help bring to Christ, and no man will have no star. Right. Is that in the Bible, or is that?
I don't know if that's in the Bible.
Well, we next year around this time, so let me know if you find it.
I mean, the only reason why I asked, because I'm asking that because if that's not biblical, and if it is just a prophetic teaching, then I understand your question to say is everyone out there just to
no, but I think what Al,
you know what I'm saying? Because if it were in the Bible, then I'd say okay, well then I am.
But what Al just read, I think if he's telling us to go, telling them to go far, make disciples of all nations, baptizing them, and then teaching them to obey everything I've commanded you, then yes, we all are supposed to be disciples.
So hold on. These 12 had to go and make disciples of the other people who've been following Jesus for the whole 3 years as well. They started over from scratch. They going and now make disciples of Susanna and Magdalene.
Take it back to the camera thing. Maybe Christ has told these other people this before. But this is the point where it's recorded where he's telling 11.
Yeah.
It doesn't suggest this is the first time he's telling them this. This could be a reminder or an opportunity to record this.
Does he teach the 12 at any point to make disciples outside of this one text?
I don't think he would repeat it to them. If he would have told them, these 11 were there.
That's what I'm asking. So has he said it before?
Maybe it's a reiteration. I mean,
no, maybe it's not.
No, it can't be. It doesn't make any sense.
So you think this is a brand new thing? Like,
I'm saying because he comes back to me and was like, all authority has been given to me in heaven and in earth.
Jared, has it ever been commissioned?
Therefore, go make disciples. Like that's a command. Like he's not. Remember what I told you. He's not. He's like therefore.
Them to do. So this might be this could be a reiteration because when he called them initially, he said, "Come and I'll make you fishers of men." So,
so this could be a redefining, right? Maybe I've been trying to tell you this all along. I've been trying to suggest this to you. You weren't getting it. You weren't getting it when I was trying to make it plain to you the other way. So here it is, point blank.
Or not even that. Maybe it's like this is the culmination. Like this is like I asked you to be. This is why I asked you to be. And now I'm about to go to heaven. Now I'm giving you the command.
So I've been teaching you all along.
And this is what it comes down.
I haven't sent you out yet because you weren't ready.
Yeah. Because listen to what he says.
You weren't in season yet. So now your season has come. So now it's time.
And listen to what he says. I mean, and you said it. And, well, you didn't say it. You repeated read what he said. But he said, so take now everything I've commanded you. So everything we did in Matthew, from 1 to thing, all this stuff we did, now you go and do it. This is it. That's the end.
But that's one thing that Al just said was that
drop the mic.
It included what he commanded here, and what he commanded here was to make disciples. But it's saying everything I've taught you, which is why I asked. And at any point before, did he make it very clear
for them to make disciples?
For them to make disciples. There ain't no reason to scream though.
Oh, okay.
I mean, because if he said that before, then yeah, this is a reiteration. And I believe it was only 2 of them he said, I'll make you fishers of men. It wasn't all 12 of them that he said.
It was just the fishermen.
I mean, it was just somebody.
It was just the fishermen.
It wasn't all of them.
It was 4 of them, right?
So that don't really count.
Yeah, it was
the 2 sets of brothers.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't really count that as him saying it to all of them.
No, it was just the 4.
So, but I'm saying the command to be this to make disciples. You wouldn't tell
Matthew that. Matthew would be like, "Shut count money."
Before.
Not recorded. Not as recorded. But we've also been taught that Christ didn't commission the disciples until this point.
The Great Commission.
It was like they were in training.
Yes.
Being taught, being edified, being instructed, and
being discipled.
Being discipled, and once they had been fully disciples, and now they were ready to bring forth fruit.
Yes, it was their season.
Was there anyone else when he?
It was their season a long time because they were still doing it.
I think it ties when I Jared asked the questions. I think it goes back to what Moses had to do. I think it's more of a manageability as well as an organization hierarchy. And what I mean by that is, with Moses, right, he was doing it by himself. And at the point, it's like, yo, dude, you need to find key people.
Jethro.
Make it help people carry the load.
Right.
And while, these overseers or heads were responsible for different sects or different groups, I think it's the same thing, not from a responsibility standpoint where you have you manage these people, because you're saying you have all these people, but you only said U11 or U12, right? It's more of for him, a manageability, because again, he's human, and again, this is my interpretation. You select 12 guys randomly. Hey, well, we assume randomly. You, let's go. I'm going to work with you guys, the lowest of the low, and say, go do this, right? Go find or make disciples. In reality, I mean, he's saying to all of us to do it, and not just to the 12. We're all supposed to go and make disciples.
But even in that state, in that point, when Moses had to divide up the power,
right,
and the governing, those governors were held to a higher standard than the people. Correct?
Well, right.
So
correct. Go ahead.
So what I'm saying is, then it's possible if you 12 of you, I'm holding you to a higher standard, and your standard is this.
Not say a higher standard. I think it was more so.
For example,
okay,
this is
you're talking about just from a
from
a manageability standpoint.
Right.
Like it's just easier to talk to 12 as opposed to commission.
Everybody that was there.
Yeah.
But if you're there and you're interested, you overheard what was needed to be done, and if you believe, you're following God because
they provide checks and balances.
They provide checks and balances, right?
So I guess what I was asking is, there's a difference between a follower and a disciple, because Mark, and this is where it came from, Mark 15:40-41. They reference these people as being followers of Jesus, but they didn't count them as disciples.
Mark 15.
And so I'm asking, is it possible for me to be a follower of Jesus without necessarily being a disciple?
Mark 15,
what is a disciple?
A disciple is somebody who's being trained by somebody else to learn the task or trade. It's somebody who's like an understudy, like a student.
But it says women.
What do you say?
But it says women.
Yeah, because you basically matriculate to a disciple once, because if you follow Christ enough, he's going to roll off on you.
But in context, they're talking about women who had a lower role. They were looked at lower than men were. They couldn't, Paul talked about it. Like, you can't talk and you get all this kind of stuff. So they had their role. So it said some women were watching from a distance. Among them were Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, So there were people. And Solange apparently was there. Oh, Salome.
I was like, whoa.
And in Galilee,
so you see my point? So some
him.
people were disciples, the men, and I'm not saying that carries over now in terms of men and women division, but you had followers.
No. But it's talking specifically about women. In Galilee, these women had followed him, and they weren't saying followed him as in followers, like they were like gleaning the teachings of him. They were like they followed him and cared for his needs.
So they were literally
cooking.
No, but they were
washing his two pair of one pair of sandals.
The way it's written, it's both. They were followers of Jesus, not just following him around.
In Galilee, these women had followed him and cared for his needs.
So the followers you're talking about is following his teaching, obeying his teachings, living by his teachings.
Right.
So you're saying, can somebody live by the teachings of Christ and not be a disciple?
What's the amplified version of this?
No, because one of the teachings of Christ is to call others to.
There's only the 12.
No, come on, no.
I thought we left the 12 already. The 12 is more of a manageability standpoint. That's all I can assume, because I have no idea what the significance of 12 is. I think it's a manageability, because if
it wasn't 12, it was 11.
If you go to Acts, Paul talks about there's a 12 in Ephesus too.
Should
when
have
you get to
done.
Acts.
I'm done.
Yeah, I lost it. Don't worry.
It was just a question that came up after this. No, it could be that.
So the amplified version says, now some women were there also, looking on from a distance, among whom were Mary Magdalene, Mary mother of James, younger of Jose or Joseph, and Solange, who, when Jesus was in Galilee, we were in the habit of accompanying him and ministering to him.
Okay. So
that's not following his teachings and all that kind of stuff. That's hanging out.
Okay.
administering.
Fair enough.
Mr. Mike?
But fair enough. I was just curious.
You're a trouble.
No,
But 12, I
you're-
12 has some
you're
significance though.
No, I really was.
He's
Because I
an
wrote it
instigator,
down.
man.
Say what you want to say.
I
Say what you want to say.
I seen, I'm looking at, at all the house churches and whatnot, there were people who just lived the way. And then there
what
were
churches?
the house churches.
House church.
What are house churches?
The home
Brooklyn.
churches,
Right.
people,
Oh.
the churches that met in the homes. There were people who just lived in the way.
Don't you?
But then there were these select few who went about actively trying to, preach and teach and do all of those things. And so I'm wondering if once somebody reached me and told me to live in the way, and I live in the way, that my responsibility kind of ends there. Is there a division in the...
You use a phrase there, preaching, teaching. So you're I don't know if you.
I didn't mean I mean more recruiting. You see a lot of recruiting.
So they're going to be the Secret Service Christians, and then they're going to be the Park Police Christians, the ones you see and the ones you don't see.
I'm trying to be cool.
The Secret Service Christians are Aaron's sons.
It just made me wonder
That's what
about all the others who weren't in the 12.
Eli's sons, with the prostitutes.
Well, we do know that even as
Aaron's
more,
sons were not
they
either.
picked up apostles, disciples. We have different names for things, and the reason why I wasn't saying a whole bunch was because sometimes when we say, if you're not a disciple, what are you? And to me, it really doesn't matter, because as long as you're serving the Lord in the capacity He's telling you, then you are moving closer and closer and closer to Him in your relationship, and you're going to be saved.
And
that's why when if we were to go deeper, I thought you were going to go there and talk about, okay, so now we have pastors, now we have elders, now we have teachers, now we have this one, and then roles. So that's where I thought you were going. That's what I was just waiting for, but you weren't. You were just saying, who are the disciples and how many were there. But the truth is, we know that the Lord needed a whole bunch of every title in these areas, because He was looking at a worldwide movement,
But that's not a
not
cop-out.
just a little. Excuse me?
That's not a cop out. If He
What's
calls
a
us to be
cop-out?
disciples, then we have to be disciples.
Did He call you
Yeah,
to be a
but
disciple? Did He call
being
you
a
to be
disciple
a
is
disciple?
Therefore, if we're saying really,
But then
really,
then why would He say apostle? Why would He call you a teacher if He's saying no, you're not a teacher, you're a disciple. And then everyone will be disciples. But think
everyone
He
is disciples. That
specified.
doesn't change your
He-
role that you
he
have. That
specified-
you have as far as
that's
all.
not part of the organization.
Yeah, being a
He-
disciple
he-
is what you are. Being a disciple is like separating Christian. He's called you to be a disciple. Now you may have an additional
To teach.
role as an elder, as a this or a that, and all this kind of stuff.
You
But
start
that
off
doesn't
as
change
a
what you. That
disciple.
doesn't change you being a disciple.
Yeah.
And so it's
Start
saying
off.
everybody, and so He's saying
Go ye
everybody
therefore teach
disciple?
all.
So can you be a Christian and
everybody
not be a
disciple?
disciple?
No.
No, I'm saying...
But you don't necessarily have to say
But you don't have
I'm
to
not
be
just
an
talking
elder
about being a
and-
disciple. I'm talking about being a disciple maker, because I can be a disciple
and not make any
and not
disciples.
make a
Then you're not,
disciple.
but then you're not
Then you're
obeying
not
what
a
He said.
disciple. Then you're not a
Right. I don't
disciple.
No, then you're
You're not
not
a
obeying
disciple.
what He said, because He said, "Go you therefore teach all nations," and He's telling them. And then, so if you're teaching them, then you're being a disciple. You were discipled. Now you're discipling.
Right.
You can't if you take the information and just keep it with you and you don't tell someone else,
not being a
then you're not being a disciple.
Because
and
Jesus
you're just being
said, I came to
that's
seek
tree.
and save the
You're
lost.
being the tree.
That was his
Well, not even
purpose.
being
That
the
was
tree.
his mission.
Right.
So now His mission
You
becomes
are
our
a
mission.
Yeah, true. What's that?
No, I
Yes.
said, Jesus said, I came to seek and save the lost. So now if I'm taking on His characteristics, His mission, now my mission now becomes to seek and save the lost.
Yeah,
if I'm
discipled properly.
If I'm discipled at all, there's no.
No, if I'm discipled properly, because
Then
if
you're
I'm
not in-
discipled into being a disciple
discipling-
without making disciples, and here's what I'm saying:
Okay.
a disciple is being trained by the person above them. Whatever that person above me trains me to be is what I become.
So everyone.
So you saying some people were putting out leaves and really didn't have the fruit, and they were given bad fruit.
Oh.
Or they were given empty fruit.
That's a whole.
They were given plastic fruit.
I'm saying that's entirely possible.
But this is the thing: discipling, being a disciple, doesn't really.
How was supposed to put the camera?
But
God, this is like this is a
think
voice from somewhere else.
If you take off the disciple, the word disciple,
Yes.
The voice crying in the wilderness.
because you have to follow Jesus, right? And while he gave the commission to be a disciple, right? It's like anything else. You're the forefront of your company. You learn everything about your company. You're a VP or whatever. You're representing a company. Essentially, you're discipling about your company and the type of things you offer to get customers to come in. And then in turn, if you're a good company, right? If you're a good company, that's essentially what it is. It's marketing in
Jesus.
Right, you're marketing Jesus. That's all it is.
Well, it's an eyewitness account of what you've experienced.
Right,
and that's essentially what we do. Now, what you're saying, and maybe I'm getting you wrong, because I've been known to do that. If you're saying that, because a disciple in and of itself doesn't make you right or wrong.
Right,
you can be a disciple of bad information.
Correct.
And you can disciple.
By Paul.
Yes. So the question is, are you actually discipling in Christ? And are we doing what Christ has asked us to do in going ye therefore and teaching all nations? Because if we're not teaching people to do that, then we're not doing what Christ asked us to do.
We're not disciples.
And we're not disciples.
We're not disciples of Christ.
We're not disciples of Christ. We're disciples.
Well,
you might not be a blood. You might not be a crip.
You're like water for the thirsty. I drink. You're like water for the thirsty. I drink.